Welcome to the Gaming Trend Podcast, the official podcast of GamingTrend.com. My name is Anthony Shelton, and I am joined by David Burdette.
Hello, all.
And Noah Ansaldua.
Hello there.
In this podcast,
General
we talk
Kenobi.
to you about... Oh, yes. In this podcast, we talk to y'all about the biggest games of the week, at least the ones we could get our hands on. We talk to you about games you should be playing and games that we have yet to play from our backlog. This week, we got a variety of games, many animal related. We are going to be talking about probably the greatest cat game ever, Stray. We'll be talking about the MultiVersus early access beta, Powerwash Simulator for all those sim fans, Endling, Extinction Is Forever, which is a survivor game, the Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels DLC, and last, but certainly not least, My Friend Peppa Pig. For all the children out there, we got to keep them in mind also. Every game that we talk about is time-stamped, and you will be able to access all of that in the YouTube description, and depending on what podcast app you are using, you will be able to do that also. So, if there's a game you are interested in, feel free to jump to the game that you want to hear about. Now, let's talk about the biggest game this week. This is not the game I would have expected to be the biggest game this week. 2 weeks ago, me and David were discussing certain things, and we were talking about this game. And I said, people would be interested in it, but it's not really going to get that much play. Well, it ended up being the most wishlisted game on Steam, so I was absolutely wrong about Stray.
What's crazy is it actually broke the 60 barrier on Steam. 60,000 people playing it on Steam. So that's not even including PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium, the people who bought it on PlayStation 5. This thing has been just hot, and I am just surprised that no one has done this before. I don't understand how it took this long for somebody to just make a game just specifically playing as a cat. I know that there are games out there where you would play as a cat-like creature, and there's probably at least some, like, trying to think specifically, some other random type indie games, but no one has made something this specific.
Because you're actually, you're playing as a cat with cat-like mannerisms. Would that be accurate?
It's more than even just mannerisms, because you're literally playing as a cat in this game. There's nothing super about this cat. There's nothing with this cat that makes it it can talk, it can do there's nothing about the cat that's special, so to speak. It's a cat.
They're the first developer to make a game based off of the limitations of the cat and build around that.
Exactly.
Not a cat with a gun or a cat with a sword or an anthropomorphic cat. It's like a gamified cat life story, essentially.
Exactly.
A cat with guns popping out of its paws. Bayonetta cat.
And it's not just the fact that it's even just the limitations. There are the limitations, but there's also the benefits of being a cat. When you're traversing the environment, a lot of what you see is climbable. You're going to have those height or drop limitations that are there, but you're going to be able to explore an area a lot more vertically than you might have thought. There's a lot of parkour, a lot of just going around exploring. That's probably the thing that I know Anthony and he helped me with the review, with just kind of getting my thoughts together. And one of the things that really blew me away with Stray is the fact of the exploration that is available in this game. It's one of the highlights of it, because with an indie game, and especially with the first probably 30 minutes to an hour of it, you're just going a linear path. You're having to figure out each way of going places. It could be something as simple as a puzzle-ish. They've got it where you could walk into a barrel and walk, and it'll spin the barrel towards a spot to get up to a higher jump spot. and little things like that, but it's largely linear. And then you get into this hub area, which is where you first see a lot of the robots that people have seen from these trailers, this really cool cyberpunky kind of setting. We really didn't know a lot about it. And suddenly, after you introduce yourself via a little flying robot of a guy that you've saved, essentially, suddenly you're in this hub area and you're getting to run around and do these little tiny side quests unless you just want to keep moving forward, you can just run past all of it. But it's just these fun little things that you can do in these hub areas that make this game just very endearing. I'm admittedly a humongous cat person. I love my cat to death, and my cat's a bit orange, so I very much relate to the cat that's in the game because it's an orange tabby. But it is just, especially for a cat person, this game is great, but it somehow takes something that a lot of this is nothing new to us with indie games, the way that you're playing this, what you're doing in this game. It's that they've taken the perspective of a cat, the angle of playing as this cat with how you would do something or how you would have to do something if you're a cat. And it makes it feel a lot more unique than the game actually is. And to me, that is a big strength. That is, they did more than they had to make sure that was the draw. That it could have been just trying to think of the word here. It could have been just a little thing that they threw in just to have fun with, and you're like, oh, I'm tired of this. But it was more than a novelty. Novelty was the word I was looking for.
So before we continue talking about it, what is Stray? Like, what's the point of it? What's the objective here?
So it hurts your heart at the very beginning because you get out there, you learn how to meow, you walking around with your little cat family, and during a jump, you land on a pipe, the pipe disconnects, and the poor cat falls to its death, or to what you think is its death, in this like really moment that left me kind of panicky in this cutscene, even down to a fact of it's trying its best with its claws to hold on and just slides off, and you hear this little meow as it falls out of your view, and it like pains your heart. So the whole point of what you are trying to do is to get back up to the surface, and you have found this other world that is down there that exists. And without spoiling a whole lot of it, this world is disconnected from the world that's up top. And you're as you progress through this game with the help of this little flying robot, this flying robot can't remember everything about the world. He's been trapped in it's like a consciousness that's been trapped in the internet. You're trying to help it out, and it's trying to help you out, this symbiotic relationship to get wherever you're trying to go. And as you progress through this world, you find out why all these robots are who they are, why these worlds are disconnected. And it's just it's a trip. It's a journey. It's a really fun story to follow.
So is the cat, so we talk about it being a normal cat. Is the relationship between the robot and the cat this almost telekinetic type of relationship, or is it one of those relationships with humans where the cat just instinctively acts, and that's kind of the role you're playing? You're acting on instincts, but you're actually controlling what those instincts are.
It's not telekinetic, I can tell you that. I'm not sure on the other. It's closer to the other, but there's almost this seemingly that this consciousness for some reason can understand the cat. So while the other robots for some reason can't understand the cat. So it really becomes this symbiotic relationship of, it's almost like this robot is translating for you to understand.
Okay. I wasn't sure, because when I was editing your review, I was trying to get a feel for what was happening, and I wasn't sure if this was a game that was rooted in real life, but had some psychedelic moments.
Oh, gotcha.
So I was Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Is this game a mixture of fiction and nonfiction in the sense of realism and not, or is it completely fantastic?
Yeah, nothing supernatural or whatnot is happening. It is straight up.
Okay.
For some reason, I couldn't tell you why, but this robot can translate it.
Okay.
Can translate the cat and understand the cat and talk to the cat.
That gives me a better sense of what's happening. Okay.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
They use B12 is the name of the robot. They use it as a bridge, essentially, between the cat and the rest of the world.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like,
I mean, there has to be something to translate that stuff.
Yes, Han and Chewie, something like that. That could be a way of putting it.
That makes sense. How's the open world aspect?
It's, as I mentioned with exploration, it's a lot of fun. It's not a humongous world, but it feels bigger than the sum of its parts with a lot of the way that they use the verticality of it, where you can kind of climb up in these little slums kind of area and make your way around, go into these different buildings. They have built some actual go inside moments, which are not necessarily humongous, but it's a lot of fun to explore. For the most part, from what I have been able to tell, most everything has a purpose. When you're picking up, because there are some items that you collect along the way, pretty much everything has a purpose. And there's memories, essentially spots, where you can collect those to help B12 to remember the world as it was before B12 was in the internet. So there are 5 main story spots where you get those memories, and then there are smaller memories where it's these nice little moments where he just kind of talks about the world of, hey, remember how we used to do things this way?
So go ahead, Noah.
So how did this game make you feel overall by the end of the experience?
I was, let's just say, if I had felt better because I was sick, there's every chance that I would have had probably tears in my eyes at the end because of the way that they really connect you with the story between, once again, I don't want to spoil a lot of things. This is a spoiler cast, but the relationship between the cat and B12 becomes very special at the end of the game. And it's just a very wonderful way that they've done it and how they've put everything together that you just really enjoy.
So is this story not necessarily about the cat, but more B12? Like it has a Titanfall 2 kind of feel where you have the human to robot relationship, except you're a cat?
You could put it that way. The thing I will say comparatively, though, you feel a lot more like an observer, almost as opposed to being like you're in the story, but you're not really a part of the story. Whereas in Titanfall, obviously the main character is a big part of what's going on. Whereas this feels like you're kind of, because you're the cat that isn't understood, that isn't a part of the world. It's a really cool sense of story that you get out of it because you're not a part of the world. It's like I'm trying to investigate it and learn why everything has happened.
Okay.
And it's a really cool, some of the other stuff that happens as you play through the game, because there are some enemies in the game called Zerks. They're like these little mutant jellos that kind of jump at you almost like face. They're like face huggers. Kind of is a good way of putting them. Yeah. And there's specific sections where they come into play. But you end up finding out these things are bacteria that was created from where the trash comes down from the world above. It was created to eat up the trash, and it ends up going after organic material and is trying to eat the humans. And that's why robots are around in consciousness with consciousness, because it didn't eat metal at that point. So they put their consciousness into robots to escape from the Zerks.
Oh,
and
fascinating.
And then it ends up eating, and then it develops a appetite for metal and stuff. So like I said, really interesting story as you go around, and that's even just a minor revelation that happens as you're going through the world. So their world building's fantastic in it.
Yeah, this was not a game on my radar. I wasn't going to play it, but I'm a little more interested in it. Now, you mentioned you reviewed it. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 90 out of 100. I thought that everything that it did very well. And once again, probably a biased cat dad, but I just love playing as a cat. Like it's just so much fun.
You're not the only person. Probably 60% of the reviews are cat biased.
My only qualm with it is kind of short. You can beat the game relatively quickly. I did some exploration, and even with some exploration, I came in at about 5.5 hours.
Okay.
So if I had fully kind of committed to everything, it probably would have taken a little bit longer. And then some of the trophies almost seem like intentional of making you take your time, because one of them is like nap for a total of an hour, meaning you're just going to go to a nap spot, hit the button for the cat to go down on a nap, then just leave your controller for an hour.
Literally putting it in sleep mode.
Literally. So there are some things like that and whatnot, but I mean, you're going to spend a max of 10 hours in this game, even if you put all the effort in for doing it. But I think we're in a world where we have 60-hour games or Assassin's Creed games that are 100+ hours because I've got to chase like 200 feathers. I would much rather play an experience like this compared to that, because it's tight. It's fun. There's honestly not enough games in this world that only take me 5 hours. And by golly, it's a whole lot easier on me to review something like that than something that's going to take me 40, 50 hours.
I had one more question about it. Is it introducing new mechanics fairly regularly, and what do those mechanics look like?
So there's not necessarily a lot of mechanics. It's more the world that changes as you continue on, because there are 3 different main hub areas that I went to. One of the hubs I didn't explore a lot because it was one of those very easy to skip ahead to the next chapter hubs, but a lot of what you have available to you is just right away available to you when it comes to abilities. There's one spot where they kind of switch things up that I mentioned in the review. There actually is some combat where you essentially find out the Zerks they can be destroyed by extreme light. So B12 ends up with like the flashlight that you have. B12 ends up with a brighter setting for it, but it has like a charge meter because it can't be used that much. So you use it a little bit, and then as a part of the story, you end up losing it. And I think that was probably one of the best decisions, because it wasn't a necessary mechanic, but it was interesting to use while you had it, and it really was a good part of the story. Just wasn't very necessary for much further past where they dropped it.
So the game, I like games like that where they're kind of like unafraid to just introduce a thing, drop it, let's move on. Like that was a taste of it, and like we explore everything we want to see. That's everything we had to say about it. Let's move on.
Yep.
This sounds like a great game, and then that's kind of what it's doing with its whole runtime. If it's only 5.5 hours, like it sounds like a really tightly made game.
All right, that is Stray. That is available on PC, PS4, and PS5. Made by Blue 12 Studio, and I believe published by Annapurna Interactive.
Perna. Hey, they've already made that joke. I'm not breaking the ground here.
I'm not predicting the cat jokes. You even threw one in the review, and I didn't see it coming.
Technically, I threw one in right in the subtitle. Play it, meow.
Yeah, you did. Not that one though. There was another one I did not see coming.
Yeah. Well, I tried to not make the whole entire thing punny, so
I'm glad you didn't. We got some good information on there. So yeah, David gave it a 90. Let's move on and talk about another animal game called Endling. Extinction Is Forever. I reviewed this game, and I titled it Emotional but Unfocused. So basically, this is a game that is supposed to highlight the dangers of trashing the environment and not taking care of the earth. And it's done through the character of the last fox on the planet. And you have to take care of your pups. So you are the last fox on the planet. You are navigating this trashed version of Earth, a very small section of it, of course, but your habitat is infringed upon, and you're spending your time trying to find food and trying to survive every single night. So each level, if we want to call it that, it's each level is basically night. So you have to survive night, and if you start getting to dawn and closer to daytime, the humans are awake, and you don't want to be around when they're awake because these humans are hunting you. So you want to go back to your den and sleep during the day, so that way you can get back up in the night, as a fox would do, and start, looking for your food and trying to open the map up. You're trying to do all that. This is the reason why you want to explore in the first place, and this is not a spoiler because it happens very, very, very early in the game. It's the catalyst to why you explore, but one of your pups is stolen by the humans, and so you're on a hunt to not only keep your pups alive, the ones you have left, but you're also looking for your other pup. So that is a subplot that's going on. You also have in the environment, over time, it becomes more littered, it becomes more damaged, things are happening. There's a factory in the background puffing smoke in the air called Care Core, and over time, it gets more and more trashed, and you have to kind of deal with that problem because there's less natural food sources, and there's more garbage over time. So it's weird because they split it up almost into segments. So the first area you start in, it's more natural. You'll find more wildlife to eat. You'll find more berries and fruit and things like that to eat. So, but as you move on to different sections, it's not like the world itself becomes dirtier. The sections you move into become dirtier. And you move into those different sections because your habitats keep getting infringed upon. So you have to move from den to den and almost find your own den within these human trash heaps to keep your pup safe in the night. So that right there is pretty much all you're going to get about the environment stuff, which is why I ended up scoring it a 60, because the gameplay itself is fine. The survival elements are challenging. They make you think. You have to explore. All of my pups died at some point, so it's not an easy game to get through in terms of gameplay, but the story is really clunky. So the main message of the game is to take care of the environment, but it's told in such a elementary way. It's basically, hey, don't trash everything so that way you can keep the habitats intact, which is a message we've been getting since like 4th and 5th grade, depending like how old you are. This is not a revelatory message. And so that was kind of a bummer because the subplots that they have, the pup getting stolen, other things that happen, they're good. They're emotional. They tug at your heartstrings, and I felt stuff, and it was good, but none of it tied to the bigger message of take care of the environment. None of it added a nuance to the idea of ways we should think about taking care of the environment, ways we should think about doing all that stuff. So it didn't work. What they were trying to do didn't work at the end. Again, it was fun to play. It was 5.5 hours or so. Actually, I beat it in Steam time, 4.7 hours, but it could take a little bit longer. But I thought each of the subplots were fine, but some of them, they just didn't connect. And then some of them didn't make any sense at all. So I am going to spoil one thing, but spoiler warning, okay? Spoiler warning. We are spoiling right now. Thank you for listening to the Gaming Trend Podcast. The crew is currently discussing a spoiler. Your estimated wait time is 15 seconds. So Noah comes up with what he says, and it's like, yeah, you could totally pull that from it, but how does it actually work with everything else? I have no clue.
I get where you're going now. There are not enough dots to connect.
No.
Yeah, that's where we aren't getting a lot out of the dots.
Yeah. So there's one subplot that's good. And I like it. I like where they went with it. But again, it has nothing to do with the overarching story. So in and of itself, this is a moment where it's, oh man, that really sucks. Man, that was some poor decision making. Oh man, yeah. And this particular subplot is part of finding your pup. And you find your pup by sniffing out the scent of your pup. And as you find objects on the ground related to that, 3D images pop up in stills, basically, almost like what The Division does when it tells its little stories. These images pop up and kind of in a still picture tell you what happened in that moment. And so you're going through the whole game, finding these scents and following the trail of them, and then you'll reach the end of the story. And it's an emotional end. It's interesting. I liked what they did there. It has nothing to do with the overall story. So that's where I really get confused at what they were trying to pull off with this, because I mean that's their back of the box description. You're the last fox on Earth in a world that's collapsing on itself. It's destroying itself, and you need to survive. And it's supposed to be a story about the impact of all that. And I don't see it. And there's a couple of other things that happen. And it's like, how that doesn't make any sense at all. I see what you said, but it doesn't make sense with the rest of everything. So that's kind of the story of Endling. Its Extinction Is Forever. I liked playing it. There's replay value there because they even have achievements where survive with all your pups, survive with 2 pups, things like that. So there's reason to replay it, but in terms of the story, I don't think it made the message or said the message that it wanted to say, whatever that was, which is a bit unfortunate because it looks nice, it plays well, it is interesting, but that hurts it a lot. So that is Endling. Extinction Is Forever. That is on the PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. And I gave that game a 60, which is all right, according to Gaming Trend.
Before we move on, I've got one little question. How devastating do they make you feel when one of the pups dies?
It's weird because when one of the pups die, all the little other pups react. And they're like, and they have the sorrowful looks. Yeah, so that part is sad. The mama's like putting her nose against it, trying to wake it up. So it's sad, but because it can happen so quick, you can move on from it, and like the music plays, and then it stops because you've already moved too far. So you would have to like go back and like have the moment. So and then the pups stay there for the rest of the game. So as you move throughout the area, the pup is still there. The pups, they don't continue to react every time you pass it, but you might feel something as you pass it. You're like, oh man, yeah, I let it. But one thing I will say about that, there was a point, and I said this in the review, there's a tug of war between wanting to progress in the story and wanting to keep your pups alive, because sometimes I'm not sure if it was scripted where a certain story event will happen on a certain night. And so sometimes you just need to spend the night surviving in order to move on, or you need to spend the night moving to different areas to give your pups abilities. Your pups can learn abilities also, like digging or climbing. So you can send them individually to do things instead of the mom doing everything, but you have to reach certain areas to do that. So you're struggling, at least I struggled between, do I just find food, or do I travel around and try to find certain spots, try to find new spots? And different spots are located based on question marks on the map, so you're drawn to go there. But sometimes you don't have enough time, right? So you have to figure out, is tonight just a night of survival? Or is this a night of story progression? Or is it a mix? And yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that tug of war. I wish it was more, I guess, binary in terms of, no, tonight we get food. Tonight is story. And sometimes when you're doing the story, you run out of time to get food, or, the sun's going to come up. So you have to deal with everything. So that is a little clunky, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst part at all. It's something you deal with. It's fine. It's not the worst thing, but it is there. Some people might feel it. I particularly felt it. Other people might like that. So, but yeah, that is Stray. I gave it a 60 if I didn't say it already. So if you are enjoying this podcast, consider keeping the conversation going with us on Discord. Tell us what you have been playing. Tell us what you would like to have us play. Talk about what we've been playing. All that stuff on the Discord. We will put it in the YouTube description, and you can join us there. So now let's talk about, I hope one of you two played this also, but Powerwash Simulator. So first of all, have you two ever actually power washed anything?
I haven't, no.
But after watching footage from Powerwash Simulator, I really want to.
Okay, so it's a fascinating thought. So I have, and Powerwash Simulator absolutely nails the calming effect of listening to what you're power washing and seeing the grime go away. Like, it nails that, because I get into a trance when I play Powerwash Simulator, and I'm like, yes, watch all this grime go away. And you hear the different material sounds change as you're washing different things. They're not great sounds, but it still has the same effect as if I were actually power washing. So kudos to the Powerwash Simulator team for making that happen. But yeah, it's simple. You are assigned jobs, basically, and you have to clean. You have to power wash everything. That's what you do. And for everything that you power wash, you earn money for that thing. And I haven't played a ton of it, but for what I have played, I haven't encountered a situation where you are under a time limit to finish anything, like in Lawnmower Simulator. Like, in that game, you had to mow the lawns in a certain amount of time. This, it seems like you could take all the time you want and get everything clean, which, great. I prefer that, because it's, at least I was playing on Xbox, it could be a little hard to control, but it's not too bad. You can switch the nozzle from horizontal to vertical to make cleaning certain spots easier, so that's nice. You have different pressures for different materials, so you can go just a streamlined burst laser type of power wash, or you can do a wide spread. It's not as strong, but it covers more area, so you might be able to use that depending on the type of dirt, things like that. So it's simplified in that way to where, you just up and down strokes, left and right strokes. So it's not hard to control on Xbox. Obviously, it would be much easier to control on PC, but it works. What I find hysterical is that so far, nothing I've actually power washed is anything you would actually use with a power wash. The first thing you power wash is your van. So that way you can power wash that and you can get going and drive around. You don't actually drive around, but it's inferred you use that to get from town to town. So you power wash your van. And I mean, the whole thing is dirty. The windshield, the hubcaps, the headlights.
That's one of the first things I watched.
Yeah. And what I find absolutely hysterical, if you've power washed something, it is a wet job. You will get soaked power washing. And you are power washing your van inside a closed garage. Just freely just spraying all over the place. You can spray the roof, walls, everything. It's totally fine. I found that hysterical. It's absolutely nuts to me. But but I feel like that's how all these simulators are. They're simulations up to a certain point, and that is absolutely the point that they stop being real.
Yep.
So the next one I did was a house, and it's an entire backyard. I mean, it's the most gross backyard you would probably have ever seen. The fence is full of wood. Fence is full of dirt. The rocks path is dirty. The pool that's empty is dirty. Dog house is dirty. Everything's dirty. So obviously you power wash all that stuff. So I mean, it's such a simple game, but it's so relaxing. You just listen to the sounds. There's no music, none of that. As soon as you pop open the game, there's no music. You just hit the start button. At first, there was no sound effects, so that threw me off. I was like, "Is my sound on?" But once you get to a certain menu, there's finally some sound effects. But yeah, it's fun. It's really fun to just sit there and spray stuff and watch it get clean. And there's a meter that shows you how clean something is. So if you miss something, every time you're cleaning something, it almost highlights it in the upper left, like this is what you're cleaning right now. And there's a meter like going down, showing how clean it is and if you've cleaned it entirely.
So how many hours do you think you could put into this game?
How many hours do I think I could put into this?
Yeah.
I mean, if I wasn't playing Halo, Forza, and MultiVersus, I would probably, if I could beat the game, I certainly would beat it. All right, so that is Powerwash Simulator. That is available on PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. I didn't realize it wasn't on PlayStation.
And Game Pass.
And it is on Game Pass. That's the way I'm playing it. So that is Future Lab and I guess published by Square Enix, actually.
Yeah, it reminds me completely of the way that you actually have like a nozzle that you use when you are cleaning cars in Gas Station Simulator when you unlock the car wash. And you actually switch nozzles, switch the orientation of the nozzle. There's not a lot to it compared to this, obviously, because this is the whole point of the game. But it's that same feeling of, oh yeah, I'm getting all the grime off of everything.
Yeah, satisfying.
Yep.
Endling Extinction Is Forever is also developed by Hero Beat Studios and published by Indie Games. Got to mention that. Let's talk about MultiVersus.
So I was super excited to get back into this game after playing in the closed beta not too long ago, and it looks like they made some like balance changes to a lot of the characters. Bugs Bunny felt a lot better to play against because at first he was like really, really annoying.
OP.
Taz was also really annoying. Both of them.
Yeah,
were
Tom and Jerry and Bugs Bunny, nuts
right.
in the closed beta.
All three of those characters were so OP, and it looks like they really did do a lot to sort of tone down their power. And I'm a Shaggy main already, so Shaggy even has been changed. He now spawns with a sandwich. All that's to say that it feels like they really have taken a lot of the community feedback and used it to make changes already this early in the phase, which is kind of refreshing because a lot of teams out there don't really use the beta phase to actually implement any changes anymore like betas should be used. Like that's the whole point of a beta. But in recent times, betas have really been more of a selling point for the pre-order. Like, get the pre-order and you get access to the beta, and we're just going to do the beta 3 weeks before game release, and we're not going to use it to change anything, and haha,
Yeah.
like, thanks for the money, and we'll see you next time. And that's just, like, really been my experience with betas in the past at this point, or I would say, like, more so in, like, the past 5 to 7 years, that's really been what betas have been. And it's disappointing, but MultiVersus actually seems to be iterating on this. And it was even like towards the end of the last closed beta that I saw one of the devs straight up just say, "Oh, this is what we're going to do to Shaggy between now and the next beta." And that is exactly what I saw when I like booted the game up today. And I played 10 doubles matches, and I won every single one of them because I'm going to be the best Shaggy in North America. It's going to happen. It was...
Is that MMR working for you right now?
That's right. But it worked pretty dang well, and like, it wasn't just one match where I was popped off. I was popping off consistently. There was one match where I hit the sickest spike because there were 2 enemies coming in, and I knocked both of them in one hit straight down. I clipped it. It's gonna be on the. It's probably playing right now, and it's absolutely amazing. And then I kept going off. I had teammates that were bad. I had teammates that were good. And when I had bad teammates, I popped off even more. Shaggy also, they've like made big strides in trying to make characters who are brawlers or assassins or more damage focused into being a little more supportive. So Shaggy didn't used to have this ability where if you fully charge his Super Saiyan Ultra Instinct ability, now you can press the neutral special button again, and you can teleport to your teammate and knock back enemies and give them an enraged buff and lose your own enraged buff. So he's got a little more of a supportive move set now just with that, and also they fixed his down special. They didn't fix it, but they added a shield to it or super armor, I guess you could say. They added that to it because it was really vulnerable and it doesn't do any damage until you hit the ground. So like you'll press down special and you'll be up on above the stage, and then it doesn't do anything until you actually hit the bottom, and you can be interrupted. But now you can't because you got that special armor unless they hit you really hard. But yeah, it definitely feels a lot less oppressive going up against a Tom and Jerry, a Taz, or a Bugs Bunny. But I will say that Iron Giant doesn't exactly feel balanced yet, and I think that's okay. This is an open beta, and this is like his first appearance. Plus, he's huge, and I think it's pretty ambitious to even think like let's put a huge character that dwarfs every other.
So big.
Every other like
it
character
is completely different than like almost every other fighting game, because a lot of fighting games you have at least some size comparisons.
Right. There's a limit, and here it just feels like they just blew the top off the limit and said,
They did.
"We're going to make Iron Giant true to size, like to scale as much as possible."
Since obviously he's a big part of this, how does Iron Giant play? How does he feel?
Oh my gosh, he is
what kind of character is he?
He's so lumbering. He's a tank, and I like his moveset a lot. It's fun, but I don't know. To answer your question, he's a big, lumbering, heavy-hitting, you can't kill him very easily kind of character. So he'll take...
Kind of like a Donkey Kong in Smash?
No, not even close. Okay. Not even close to Bowser. He's a character who can just take a lot of hits. The difference with him, though, is that I don't think he has the ability to have directional input. So when you smack him, he can't. I've had a really hard time limiting the power of some of these hits before I hit the edge. I am a Wonder Woman and a Harley Quinn main, and I have no problem influencing their direction when people hit me. With Iron Giant, if I get smacked at a high enough percentage and hard enough, I cannot get any directional input to work. So I think that's how they balance them. I think it's actually fairly balanced. He has one move where it's his neutral special, where he basically magnetically swirls these screws around him, and that basically gives him unbreakable super armor, so it lasts for a little while, and that part is rough, but it only lasts for so much. He can only take so much damage before it just ends, and it takes a long time to recharge it. So, as long as you can't get it very fast, that's when Iron Giant is at his most vulnerable. He also has a stage where he can change into his super form, and people can ride him and control him and do different attacks. He can suspend opponents in the air with this little green ball, and you can get in some free hits.
Yeah.
He has missiles that he can shoot out, and this only lasts for, I think, without picking up any extra bolts or anything, which extends the time of that. I think it lasts for maybe 30 seconds or so, but even at the same time, he can still get pummeled pretty bad if you're not careful with them. But he has some really heavy hitting attacks. He has basically like a meteor butt slam where if you hold it, you'll see this like missile indicator, and he'll just leap up in the air and then pull his legs up and just slam his butt on the ground. And I mean, it gives like 25 to 30% just automatically. And if you're at like 80%, you're gonna get launched. You might die. So he has my favorite move is his forward air, where he basically turns sideways and kind of like kicks out his legs, and it's just this multi-leg smack with his thrusters. It's like pop, 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 pop. And it's like, ooh, that it doesn't hit super hard percentage-wise, but it feels so good to land. So he's a lot of fun to play. I wouldn't say a lot of fun to play. I don't have a ton of fun playing him, but I love his moveset. It's so weird. It's so lumbering. You feel good when you land the stuff, but it is hard to use him. So if you can figure him out, I mean, he'll do some work. I played with an Iron Giant, and we put in work. It was this random Iron Giant. I was Harley Quinn, and I mean, he was holding his stuff down. I was holding my stuff. I wish I recorded the match because we were pummeling them. Yeah, he was using them perfectly.
At first, I pictured two Iron Giants on the same team, just like
that's what I want to do. I want two Iron Giants on one team, on my team, or I want everybody to be Iron Giant. I just want to see what that match looks like, because just these big lumbering Iron Giants. So one actually cool thing too I want to mention about him is if you ledge grab, not even ledge grab, but basically wall cling. Mm-hmm. Your teammate can hop on you because you're considered a wall. So your teammate can use you as a platform to get back on the stage in case you're like too far. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's dope. I love the creativity they have done with these characters. They have taken the time to make each character feel unique. If you look at Smash, there's so many copycat characters with copycat moves, and obviously literally the same character with a different skin. Yeah, 20 sword characters, but you got Marth and Lucina, you got Link, Toon Link, and Wind Waker Link. Just all these very similar kind of characters, but all of these characters feel very different. Their movesets are different. You can't really play them all the same way. So that it's MultiVersus it's going to be good. People are loving it. I'm loving it. Noah's loving it. Now they have introduced their the live service element. Now you have to pay for stuff. So this now it's Gleamium is what it's called. So that is the in-game currency that resembles paid stuff. And everything is cosmetic. If you want to buy everything, you can earn characters as we suspected. You could also buy them if you want. It's out for me whether or not the coins are gathered too slow at this point. I'm seeing a lot of conversation around that. If coins, which is the in-game currency that you can earn to buy stuff, is earned a little too slow. I don't know. I'm fairly decent at the game, So I feel like I'm okay earning coins, but you will earn like 15 a match. And the most expensive characters are 3,000 coins. But there are other ways to earn coins, leveling up characters. At the very beginning of the game, all your early objectives are all coins, whereas after that, your daily challenges are all battle pass experience. So yeah, I'm not convinced that the coin stuff is broken yet. I mean, it's a free to play game. So, of course, they're going to go with the direction of if you want stuff, you got to play the game. So, sometimes I don't know if the conversation is, I just want this stuff now. It's like, that's cool, but for what if you're not going to play the game that much? If you're going to play the game, great. Like, this stuff shouldn't be hard to earn, right?
Right.
So, I haven't felt like, man, I can't, man, it takes so long to earn a character. I haven't hit that wall yet. So maybe that's why I'm feeling in between right now. But we'll see as I keep playing. I will say it felt weird at first because I'm so used to the closed betas where everything was just unlocked. So it did feel weird having everything locked, but it was like we were going to get to this place eventually. So It's not surprising, but I'm just not there yet with the free to play stuff, and if it's too grindy, I don't, and maybe that's because I enjoy it. I don't know.
Right. I do sorely miss the Shaggy shirt rip emote because that was amazing and it didn't cost Gleamium at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it probably is too early to say like, oh, this gold stuff needs to be tuned to give us more gold so we can unlock these characters quicker. And like I come from Apex where it's like, yeah, like characters each cost like 12,000 legend tokens, and you'll probably get to like it'll probably take 20 or so levels to get that, which depending on how good you are will take probably like 5 to 10 hours each character.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably fair, especially in a game like Apex where you want to like learn those characters you're buying probably a little more, and probably the same in MultiVersus where there's a lot of nuances to these characters that you can uncover the more you play with them, the more combo strings you can tie together, and it will probably benefit players to just unlock characters as they go, and that way they can feel more comfortable with each character that they play. But
yeah, like if people are interested in unlocking all the characters, every character has enough experience tiers to where you'll earn coins along the way with them as well. So there are multiple ways. It's not just playing the game. It's using other characters and other things. But it took me, Iron Giant is 3,000 coins. I specifically wanted to earn Iron Giant because I hadn't played him. This is the first time anybody has seen Iron Giant. 3,000 coins. Took me 2.5 hours to earn Iron Giant. Right now, just before we played, it took me an hour to earn another 1,500 coins so I could get another character. I think Garnet is 1,500, so I could buy Garnet right now if I wanted to. It would probably take me another half hour to get 500 more coins so I could buy Batman or some other 2,000 coin character. So I feel like that's not that bad. But again, I'm half decent, so I don't know if people who are not as good are having more trouble earning coins. I don't know if that's the case. So I don't want to dismiss the idea that it could be a grind, but I just don't feel it's that grindy yet. Not yet. So that is oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and even then it's just a question of, well, is that level of grind okay because of the quality of this experience and because it is free to play and because like just all these factors kind of piling up that say that this team seems to care about this product and having the starting roster, whatever it is, because I don't assume that it will be the same roster from this open beta moving forward. I don't assume the same characters will be unlocked. So I guess it will come down to, okay, are the characters that we have available to us all interesting enough to keep us at least tide over until we can get to those characters we want to play. And then I imagine the people that do play MultiVersus regularly will have enough gold at whatever point to just buy the new character as soon as that new character comes in, without having to worry about it. And that's kind of why I mentioned Apex, because at the point where you play this game as much as you do whatever game it is, you will have the credits to buy it, whether it's a Rainbow Six character, an Apex character, a MultiVersus. And I'm sure that it will be tuned to that level of play. But even then, like you just said, you just were able to unlock a character in an hour and a half of play, or even less than that. So I don't really see that being a problem. Too much of a problem.
Yeah, I don't either. I know people are talking about the expense of the skins and stuff also. Some of it is fairly expensive. And I don't know if that has anything to do with because these are licensed type of things. So even though Warner Brothers is publishing it and Player First Games is developing it, I don't know if Player First has had to fork out money to even have the license to, have the license to have the permission to develop this game in the first place. I don't know how all of that works. I imagine there is some sort of something involved with that makes some of these skins as expensive as they are. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it's as complicated or as simple as we're just gonna make it expensive. Like I have seen too many business type of conversations where it's no business just arbitrarily sets prices. It's never that dark. It's right. Just not. There are other things that are considered normally that sway why something costs the way it does. You may not agree with it, but that's what it is. And so I imagine there is some reason why some of these skins. I think one of the Batman skins is like $20.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so like why is that one so expensive? I don't know, but I imagine my first thought goes to licensing. Even though Warner Brothers published it, it doesn't matter. Player First Games is the one developing it, so there's probably the licensing. There's probably money distribution to Player First Games, money distribution to Warner Brothers. There's probably
the family who owns the rights to all of it and all that fun stuff.
The money that's got to go to DC. Like there's so many angles of where that money possibly goes to have and then profit, right? You got to have the profit. So why that skin
Batman is going to sell,
right? So reasons.
I will
say. So at the end of the day, like the market will speak as to if people will buy it, and I imagine they'll adjust because it looks like they really do care about this game and want it to succeed.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Noah.
I will say that some of the skins in this game, like the alternate Shaggy skin that you can buy, is really well done. And unlike skins in Apex, or I don't know if they have skins in Rainbow Six for like operators, but in Apex you can buy skins, but you never see your character unless you're doing very specific things during a match, and even then it's like for 5 seconds at a time. In Smash and Apex skins are like probably around the same price. I would say like $20. But in Smash or in MultiVersus, you're seeing your character at all times, and I guess there's a little bit more value proposition. But also the Shaggy alternate is like a completely different voice actor, and it's like different voice lines, and it's a whole new voice pack. And I wonder if that's going to be this. I mean, I wonder if that's going to sort of influence the price tag for each of these skins. And
that Shaggy skin is part of the Battle Pass. You're talking about the robe one?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that one's part of the Battle Pass. So, I mean, you'd have to buy into the Battle Pass in order to get that in the first place. But the alternate Iron Giant skin, which you could buy with coins, but that one, even the character select animation for that skin is different than the default skin.
Right.
So it seems like all the skins in this game have something different than just the look. It is how it animates, things like that. Small things, but it's not just and alternate skins. So I wonder if that does also influence the price of them, and you know, which ones you can buy for coin and which ones are strictly Gleamium.
Right.
So I know there's a long MultiVersus conversation, but like there's a lot to unpack with this new open beta, because you know, now we're experiencing the game in probably what will be the final form when we hit the open beta, and then, you know, minor adjustments from here. Because I'm pretty positive this is, once it hits open beta, this is the game. Like, and it's just going to be out for the foreseeable future. So that is MultiVersus, developed by Player First Games and published by Warner Brothers. All right. I have a friend.
I do too.
I have lots of friends. I have one friend called Peppa Pig. So let's talk about My Friend Peppa Pig.
No, Anthony, let's talk about My Friend Peppa Pig.
Okay, fine. It's your friend.
Because I sat down for about 45 minutes to an hour with My Friend Peppa Pig.
Hey.
I went through the deep customization to create a character that felt unique to me.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. That's a bit of a stretch.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like, for real?
Match point tennis.
Is it deeper than match point tennis?
It might be.
Real question. Is it deeper than match point tennis?
You can get a bowler hat, you can get another hat, you can get a cuter hat. I don't know. You can get all kinds of hats. But you can change the type of animal you are, the color of animal you are.
Oh. So you don't have to be a pig.
You don't have to be a pig. I believe I was a gray wolf with a black bowler hat and a purple shirt.
Does not sound like the right animal for a Peppa Pig game. Here comes a gray wolf. Hey. Watch out.
No, because she's my friend. So
yeah, very friendly.
After you create your character, you get a brief intro cutscene where it basically kind of introduces you to the concept of Peppa Pig, and you get the premise of the game, which is basically you're hanging out with Peppa Pig for a day, and she's your friend. So you get free reign of this vast open world. Actually, it's more like open zones. So it starts off at Peppa Pig's house, and she's on a hill. And you can either go down to the left or down to the right. And if you go to the right, you'll go to the woods.
Choose your own adventure game?
And there will be tons. Yeah, so it's basically like an extended Peppa Pig episode where you get to decide what to engage in. Okay. And it's not much of a game. It's more of like you can press the action button to initiate a cutscene, and sometimes you get to mash B or hold B down to either like pedal faster. It's just animation. It doesn't really do anything. It just changes the animation or makes the speed a little faster. But it seems like a great game for like a very introductory, early entry point for kids into video games.
That's good,
because it's probably even simpler than like the Clifford games I used to play on early PCs in like 2003. It's probably even simpler than that. Yeah, all you really do is just kind of walk around left or right, and there's like mountains where there's like skiing, and you can ski with Peppa Pig. There's a campfire thing where you can go to a campfire with Peppa Pig, and there's a cute little song that they sing. It's all very British and very kid friendly, and it was a good time. And I imagine it'd be a better time if I was 4 to 5 years old.
Sure, yeah. Hey, the 4 to 5 year olds matter. All right.
That's right.
I started playing video games at 6. Okay, so it's good. Good they have something to play. That is My Friend Peppa Pig. PC, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. By Patoon Studio and published by Outright Games.
And it is on Xbox Game Pass. That's right.
Yep. This is true. This is true. Easy to play if you are subscribed. All right, let's talk about Forza Horizon 5 DLC, the Hot Wheels DLC. Man, this is a spectacle. And you know how Forza Horizon always starts their stuff. It is this race that takes you through all the momentous stuff the same thing they do with the Hot Wheels expansion. They're rolling with that template, and it's the same thing. As much as you are rolling on orange track, you are rolling on orange track through giant waterfalls and through volcanoes and beaches and jungles and all this other stuff. It's spectacle, and you're going super fast, and you're twisting and you're turning and you're looping, and it's a Hot Wheels track. So like it is Forza Horizon 5 with Hot Wheels. It is a little bit, it's more different than Forza Horizon 4 Hot Wheels in terms of how loopy and corkscrewy the tracks are. They definitely did more with that, but and they're definitely pushing the speed limit with all the cars, because it's not just dash pads anymore. Now they have these fans that are supposed to take down the overdraft and all that stuff to make you go even faster. So you have a 4x4 car going 200 something miles an hour down a hill that, all the draft is gone, and you are just booking it. And it's a lot of fun. Like Forza Horizon 5 has always, or not even just Horizon 5, but Forza Horizon has always hit this spot between, you can get as deep as you want with this game, or you can play it really relaxed. And right now, it feels really relaxed with all the speed involved that you could desire. And it's very cool. I haven't been able to play as much of it as I wanted to yet, but the basic premise of this so far is that you're doing the same thing you would do in regular Forza Horizon. You're doing race events, and you're trying to earn more points to unlock more race events. The difference with this is you are locked to a certain class, and you have to earn different classes. So you basically, to go faster, you have to earn your speed in this. And so you're doing the typical Forza Horizon stuff. You're completing events, getting more points, unlocking new classes. Now you can go faster, stuff like that. So that part, I don't know, feels a little too rigid for Forza Horizon. This is the most rigid I think Forza Horizon has been. I don't remember Horizon or Horizon 2 if it was that rigid, but 3 and 4 were more open. Sometimes you were locked to a class in a certain type of race, but you didn't have to do those races necessarily. You could do some other races if you wanted to race fast. This is, no, you're locked in Class B right now. So everything you're going to drive is Class B until you've done enough to go to Class C. So that's the most rigid it's been. But it's still fun to drive. I am still motivated to get to the higher speeds, because the whole thing is based on, how fast can I go on these tracks? Like, if I'm going this fast with the Class B car, how fast am I going to go with the S-Class cars and the A-Class cars? Dear Lord. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, and I think that's what they were trying to go for, so it's working with me. I don't know if it's going to work with everybody, but it is working with me. So I am looking forward to playing more of that. So that's published by Turn 10 and Microsoft Studios, I guess, and Playground Games, of course, developed it. So, all right, let's get into some news. There's a lot of news, but a lot of it's more like public service announcements almost. So, Josh Schur left Naughty Dog after 21 years. He had credits on lead cinematic he was the lead cinematic animator for Uncharted: Drake's Fortune, Jack and Daxter as an animator, and helped with writing The Last of Us Part 2 and Uncharted 4. So this guy has done a lot, and he is now gone. I think Naughty Dog's okay, though. I think they got enough people who are experienced with this stuff.
I think you'll have plenty of people who would want that kind of a position too. So you'll get applicants. That's the biggest thing. Sony's premier studio, arguably so.
Arguably, that's the opportunity.
They have a lot of those though, so
they do. Resident Evil 2 Remake has sold over 10 million copies, so congrats to Capcom on making that work. Resident Evil has revived. It is officially back. 10 million copies. Wow.
After watching 6, like being part of GameStop selling 6 and everything, and hearing the feedback on that one, it is so nice to see how much of a turnaround that whole entire franchise has had.
All with old stuff. Like, that's the crazy part. Rebuilt it from the ground up.
Old and new.
Yeah, I mean, with Village and 7, absolutely. I didn't mean to leave those out, but the fact that Remake has sold over 10 million copies is nuts.
4 is going to sell ridiculous.
I would imagine. I would imagine. Sony officially owns Bungie now. The deal that was announced in January for $3.6 billion is now closed. So enjoy your Sony overlords, Noah. There you go. Mediatonic.
Enjoy Bungie.
I'm sure about that.
They already are.
So some Fall Guy situation happened. The game went free to play, 2 weeks ago or so? And Mediatonic had a situation where they were caught, I guess, could be the right word, having some accidental purchase problems in their free-to-play store. So basically, an update to their purchasing page allowed transactions to be completed when an item was previewed. So if you go into the store, you want to preview an item just to see what it looks like. Well, you just bought it, if you didn't know. So other bugs happened, like items being swapped before purchasing something specific, and other inputs confirming button presses, which could get really confusing if you're just trying to navigate, and then all of a sudden, oh, you bought said thing. So people tried getting refunds also. It gets even thicker, which is what's so ridiculous about this. People tried getting refunds, and there was a poor customer service person. I guess his name was Steve. So he tried to correct the semantics of what people were saying by saying, please let me correct something from your response. You have stated that this is a bugged purchase and a known issue. Neither of these things is the case. Yeah, that certainly went down well. So they enforced the EULA and denied the refund request. Now, of course, after VGC had put this report out, Mediatonic then finally starts to do something, and now they're offering refunds and doing all of that, obviously to get themselves back in a better place. But this was all happening up until VGC reported it. So this is a little funky by Mediatonic, but in case you didn't know, that happened. So just
that's what happens when you end up with 50 million players, though.
It is. This is true. And that's something that always is bonkers to me about development. You could test things and, you would think it should just work. And then you put 50 million players and they're doing whatever they're doing, and boom, stuff is happening. It's
so I know this adds to it. My favorite story about development, and I heard this when the Anthem beta came out, and it was not working like in the slightest. I tried to stream it for like an hour and wasn't working. But my favorite story was somebody was describing development as a person builds a bar. One customer comes in, orders a beer, that it works just fine. Another person comes in, orders 2 beers, everything's fine. Somebody comes in and orders 5,800 beers, works fine. Someone comes in, asks where the bathroom is, the place burns down. That's development.
Yeah. It's interesting. I like that. It's a good one. Intel is going to raise the prices of its CPUs. The price hikes can reach up to 20% increases and are mostly related to CPUs for servers, computers, and chips related to Wi-Fi devices and networking. Intel blames surging production costs and materials.
Makes sense.
Sadly. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So I guess get your CPUs now before they start skyrocketing. So this is fascinating. We all know who John Riccitiello is. He was the former head of EA, and he had some choice words for developers. He is now the CEO of Unity. Well, not now. He's been the CEO for Unity for a while. So he was doing an interview with, I forget who, but they got on the concept of monetization. And so John had this to say for game devs who don't focus on monetization early on in the creative process. He said they're the biggest effing idiots, and not using the word effing. So he did try to couch that comment by saying he likes all the devs and believes that they all work hard. He called them the most beautiful and pure, brilliant people before he actually said that comment. So he was trying to like contrast the idea of like, hey, these people are really smart, and but man, they could also be
hey, you're great, but you're trash.
Yeah, exactly. So he wrote a long clarification on Twitter with an apology, and he promised to do better. And that's you're the CEO of Unity. Like, you've been in the industry. He bragged about being in the industry for so long, and I'm like, it's too late for you to do better. Like, you should already be here with this stuff.
What gets me is that people say this stuff in interviews.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you mean?
You're not saying this like, oh, I accidentally said it on a live stream or something.
Oh, yeah,
You're being interviewed. Like, you're dumb.
Yeah. I cannot fathom what he was thinking. That was going to be the phrase that communicated whatever he wanted to communicate. I understand the sentiment of like, if you are a developer and you're not thinking about how you want to pay yourself and pay your people with the game that you are making, that might not be the smartest thing. Like, you want to think about that as early as possible so that way you know what you're going to create. It makes sense. But then you don't have to call the people you're going to potentially work with the biggest effing idiots. It's Warframe developers are creating a new game called Soulframe. So this is also going to be developed by Digital Extremes. It's going to focus on melee combat instead of Warframe's fast-paced shooting combat. Jeff Crooks, I believe, described Soulframe as nature and humanity colliding and ideas of restoration and exploration. So melee, maybe serene. I don't know. But Warframe will still receive support, so they're not abandoning that game. So Digital Extremes is also publishing a fantasy MMO by Airship Syndicate. But that's all the information we have about that. So they're now getting into publishing, which is pretty cool for them. Sonic is finally getting bug fixes. It will happen. Sega community manager said they are listening and said they are waiting on fixing bugs, but there is no timeline for that. We know the developers mentioned that it was not all their fault that the bugs are in there, but they also were concerned that because they said something, they weren't going to be able to fix stuff. But it looks like that's going to happen, so that's great. Konami is going to relist Metal Gear Solid games. As part of their 35th anniversary of Metal Gear, Konami will resume sale of suspended titles. So, I don't think there was a list of what those titles were. I think it was Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 were delisted, I believe.
Yes, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 on PS3 and PS Vita, Solid HD Collection on PS3, on PS Vita and PS Now, the HD Edition on 2 and 3, and on Xbox 360, and Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater 3D on Nintendo 3DS, and then like Metal Gear Solid 2 on GOG.com and Nvidia Shield, and 3HD on Nvidia Shield as well.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if those are going to... Okay. I wonder if those are going to come back to Nvidia Shield then. That'd be fascinating. Rumbleverse is launching in August. That is a wrestling-themed battle royale with 40 players. It'll be on the PS4, PS5, Xbox, and PC coming August 11th, 2 days before my birthday. So that's cool. It will feature a battle pass that will run shorter than a typical season, but that starts on August 18th. So, yeah, one of us is going to have to cover that game. That looks interesting. I am excited about that one. Here's also something that could be useful. Discord voice chat is coming to Xbox. That's pretty much what it's going to be. It's available right now for Xbox insiders and allows voice chat through voice channels and group calls.
I just don't like the fact that the Xbox app is required for it to work.
I think.
Wait, so it runs through? Are you talking about on phones?
You're having to literally enable it through like the phone Xbox app. Like literally, you have to like, and it's not a one-time enable, from what I understand either.
It's not run through the consoles?
It runs on the
through the console, but you have to run everything.
You just have to like sling it to the Xbox, depending on whatever voice channel you're entering. You can't. There's no like interface on the Xbox to say, "Oh, I want to join this server and this chat specifically." You have to do that on the Xbox app on your phone, and then sling it to your Xbox.
That is clunky.
Yeah,
why?
That's the only thing that I don't like, is it's extremely clunky.
I wonder why it's developed that way. I wonder if that has anything to do with the way Discord wants something run, or that doesn't make any sense.
It's a really weird workaround. Like, I'm assuming this is probably why it didn't get announced for PlayStation as well, because I'm assuming this probably is being worked on for PlayStation, considering their partnership that they announced.
Right.
So I'm wondering if they're trying to get maybe the Discord app onto PlayStation, or if I don't really know, but I'm assuming this would be why, is because they don't want it to be this clunky, or Sony doesn't want it to be this clunky.
And they might be working on an app right now in the background, but either way, this is still huge, because
it's humongous.
Having the ability to do this is, it's clunky, sure, but once you have your Xbox connected to your Discord account, which you'll have to do even if you already had it connected to it prior, they have said that. But once you do that, it's just as simple as opening up your Xbox app on your phone and slinging it to the Xbox. It's not like it's going to be a long process each and every time.
It's extra steps.
Well, they've got a QR code
but
you're supposed to scan and all this kind of. It's just annoying. Like it just feels like it should be. You should be able to figure a better way to do this. This feels like, okay, here's how we can do this to get it out first.
For sure, but also they have it out first, and it's going to be like a huge help to people who want to play on PC with, being on Xbox, because that's a problem I run into all the time, where I'm like in Apex game chat and I can't talk to them with open mic on, because if I do, my keyboard sounds come through, because there's no good in-game chat like that actually filters out your voice like Discord does, or filters out like background noise like Discord does. So like I really don't think it's that much of an ask to do this, and I don't think that they're not working on an app also in the background.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying I wish it would have been announced less clunky.
I agree. I have a similar problem with Halo Infinite. If I'm playing on Xbox and others are playing on PC, I have to run the Xbox app on my PC in order to do Xbox Live chat with them and hear them through the computer. Yeah. Or I can run the Discord, and then I have to open OBS so that way my Elgato pipes the sound to my headphones. But eventually, like if I run that for too long, it desyncs. So I have to close OBS and then reopen it so it can be synced back together. So yeah, that's annoying. So I mean, for my situation, everything's clunky. So I guess, sure. I guess I'll take a clunky app that goes with Discord, I guess.
That's more akin to how I'm viewing it, because I'm thinking, well, it's super clunky to even like talk to a person on Xbox right now, and anything that will mitigate that is better in my opinion. And even then, it's like, okay, the first like initial setup I think will be like a little time consuming, but after that it will be just like, I'm gonna click on this Discord channel in my computer, and it's kind of like, I don't see it being too much different than like going through the trouble of joining or creating an Xbox party and inviting people and then having them join. It's just that you will need a phone. You'll need that second screen.
Well, David makes it sound like you'll have to reconnect each time.
You do.
Which that is annoying.
Like you'll have to have the QR code every single time.
It will pop it up every single time. Yep, from what I understand. That does make it clunky if it's a constant having to have a second screen.
If they have a remember me option, fine. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I know you'll have to have a second screen, and that's what I've been saying. But I don't think you'll have to. I haven't seen where it says you'll have to scan a QR code every single time you want to sling it to your Xbox.
I think David's looking that up right now.
Trying to look at it as quickly as I can.
But yes, that would be annoying if you had to scan a QR. Yes, I mean this is the days of the age of we are in the internet. I mean, it's weird you would have to do a QR code. Not everybody uses that technology. So
yeah, even from this article, it just looks like the first time you'll have to establish the two-way link between the two services, but after that, your accounts will be linked, like your Discord voice and Xbox accounts will be linked.
That is
and
connected,
that,
but you're having to transfer audio each time.
Right,
that's
and
the way it's.
That's what I said since the start.
That still means I have to pull out my app every single time. I have to go from the Xbox app into Discord and all of that. So it's just like I said, it's an extra annoyance that like it reminds me of the annoyance of the Nintendo Switch audio, obviously the Nintendo Switch game chat of just I have to have a second app. That's the biggest thing. I would prefer to have everything native because even on my PC I can do everything natively. At least I can use the Xbox app overlay to connect to a party. Yeah,
it would be best if we could function this similarly to what we do already with Xbox Live Chat. You know, you hit a friend and boom. Or in the case of Discord, like it'd be nice if you just pop open Discord, boom, hit a server that people are in, and boom, you're chatting. I think that's the ultimate goal. But right now, it is pop open the Xbox app, then do your stuff. So NFTs are banned from Minecraft. Mojang is blocking NFTs and blockchain tech inside Minecraft and server applications. Mojang is saying blockchain violates the spirit of their usage guidelines. Quote, "We have these rules to ensure that Minecraft remains a community where everyone has access to the same content," end quote. But Mojang is completely closed to the idea of blockchain tech in the future. Quote, "We will also be paying close attention to how blockchain technology evolves over time to ensure that the above principles are withheld and determine whether it will allow for more secure experiences or other practical and inclusive applications in gaming," end quote. Obviously, this is great. They are blocking it in the first place. People abuse blockchain and NFTs all the time. So there's
thumbs up for them.
Yeah, there's way too many liabilities for the technology as it stands right now. Again, I've always taken the position if blockchain actually has and serves some use outside of just trying to create money, I'm for it. Great, cool. As of right now, no, it's useless. PlayStation is eliminating customer support via Twitter for some reason. I don't know why that's happening, but Sony is no longer offering customer support starting August 1st, and they did not say why they made that decision. The only thing I can think
I
of...
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is they're automating more, and they're trying to reduce the human interaction on Twitter because it's probably toxic a lot of times.
Well, yeah, with that specifically, and it makes a lot more sense. Call customer support. Like you're going to get an answer so much quicker than PlayStation having to look through their mentions to find it out, and you're probably going to get a better answer.
I mean, I feel like a lot of customer support services offer chats now too, which I think is even faster than than calling.
In any case, it's way faster than Twitter.
Yeah, I would agree. And again, it's humans. There's no way to automate any of that. So I think that's probably why. John Romero is making a new first-person shooter, reportedly with a big publisher. And that's pretty much the news. It'll be an Unreal Engine 5, so
As long as they aren't posting those ads like they did the last time he made a big shooter.
Yeah.
Anthony knows what I'm talking about.
Hopefully not, but you got to do what you got to do. I get it. I get it. Ghost of Tsushima has sold almost 9.73 million copies in 2 years. So
well deserved.
Congrats to Sucker Punch on that. Good job to them. I haven't played it yet, but
need to.
I've heard good things. I have heard mixed things, but I think I'll like it. Maybe. Star Wars Hunters delayed to 2023. This iOS, Android, and Switch game has been delayed, and they delayed it to, quote, meet the high expectations we are setting for fans globally, ourselves as developers, end quote. This is the second delay, actually. This is supposed to come out this year, but it's delayed again to 2023. Is anybody excited about this game? Anybody even care about this game?
I'll play it, but really. Like it's an arena shooter, I think.
Yeah, it's a PvP shooter.
Yep.
I don't know if it's arena, but it is PvP.
When I hear iOS, Android, I hate to say I'm not into mobile games at all. It's really hard for me to get into anything mobile. So
yeah, that's what you hear is just noise. iOS. Womp, 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 womp. Yeah, I don't even know who's publishing and developing this game. I wonder if that information is here.
I think it's another Asper game.
Is
the
it
same
Asper?
People who've done like all the other ones.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, it's Zynga. Yeah.
Oh, Zynga.
That's right. It is Zynga.
That's straight up mobile.
Yeah. No wonder. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about this one. This might be not a great Star Wars game.
Well.
Have you guys heard of the celebrity named Luca Inxel Leon?
I mean, I've heard of him because I am in the Destiny circle.
Oh yeah. Okay, great. Well, he's being sued by Bungie for in-game cheating and harassment. So, this guy streams himself cheating, and he gets banned and then creates new accounts. So I mean, like, this dude was asking for it.
Literally.
He's accused of selling social media accounts and in-game Destiny 2 emblems. He has threatened one of Destiny 2's community managers and threatened to burn their Seattle offices down. One time, he tweeted that he was moving within 30 minutes of the community manager and said, quote, he is not safe.
Get a life, man.
Yeah. And you wonder why the Monkey Island developer is no longer going to give any updates to people and not do that stuff. You wonder why Bungie is backing off more community discussion. I've been like this for 2 years. I have always thought nobody needs this much communication with any of the developers. I don't care if you're doing a live service game or not. You don't need to communicate every little thing. We've been through several decades now of video games, and in every decade, the hype has been there. We've seen it during E3s, we've seen it during events, we've seen it online, we've seen it offline, we've seen it midnight launches. Like, hype is going to be there. We don't need all this communication constantly to connect with the game. And I'm not saying that as a blame on developers, but it just needs to end. Like, they just don't need to do this as much. An update here and there is fine, but this idea where we need to constantly communicate is for what? Who's winning here? Because no one is. Nope. No one is winning. We're not gaining any more from knowing what Bungie's going to be doing. You know, they just put out a small little teaser for what they're going to do for an event August 23rd. Imagine if they've never said anything before that, never had any contact with anybody before that. Guess what? still going to be hype because people are going to be excited. I don't know. It just... Anyway, No More Heroes 3 will not be a Switch exclusive anymore, so that'll be nice. More people get to play that. I think it reviewed pretty well, if I recall correctly. Noah, you're going to like this news. Inscription is coming to PS4 and PS5 August 30th for $20. So,
with special DualSense features.
Yeah. Yes. I have not played that game yet. I still need to play it, so.
Super exciting. I love that game so much.
I know, you keep talking about it, and I still want to play it.
It made me want to dive into all of his different games because there's like a connected universe there, and it's amazing. That's all I'll say about it.
There's a connected... Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Nintendo confirms eShop close dates for the Wii U and 3DS. It will close March 27th, 2023. So that is your time to do whatever final purchases you can.
All 12 Wii U owners, go ahead and get ready.
Yeah. I didn't see that you will not be able to re-download purchases that you've already had.
I think you can still re-download purchases.
Yeah, I think so. No news is good news on that front. I didn't see anybody talking about inability to do that. So it should be good there, but it will not be possible.
You can't buy things.
Yes.
In their initial thing, they did give a date for that when they first talked about this.
You say what?
When they first talked about this, they did give a date for when you would not be able to re-download games from the Wii U shop and 3DS shop. Right.
Oh. Maybe that's why nobody's mentioning it.
I just cannot remember the specific date.
All right, well, we'll look out for that and let you know. But, yeah, you won't be able to buy products or download free games, including demos. So, this is fantastic news here. I've been playing Yakuza Like a Dragon. I haven't been able to finish it yet, but I guess Famitsu Magazine got to get some little quick pics of the like a dragon sequel. It will be a direct sequel, and yeah, it's the picture showed Ichiban, Koichi, and Yu. And they're just showing on screen. They're just there. They took pictures of it. So it's supposed to be a direct sequel. And Ichiban ditched his afro and tied back his hair. So he's wearing a little undershirt tank top. So I don't know if his whole look is changing on that front. But I guess we're going to get a Like a Dragon sequel. Looking forward to that.
I'm super excited. I cannot wait.
I haven't even finished the game, and I'm already excited. I'm like, this game is so good.
Yeah, and getting to see that Adachi and Nanba were both in there, that's huge. Because Adachi and Nanba are like arguably, along with Ichiban, like the heart of that game. And I cannot wait to see what they do, because I'm pretty sure Like a Dragon wraps up pretty neatly. So it's like we're just going to see these friends go on another adventure, and I cannot wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
And they're even supposed to be in like a new city, different from Yokohama and Kamurocho, so I have no idea what's going to go on. And I'm super excited for a new Yakuza entry.
Did you finish Like a Dragon yet?
I have not. I need to.
Okay. Yeah.
I still have it downloaded. I haven't given up on it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if it ends up on the leaving Game Pass, I will probably just dump my life into that before it leaves so I can beat it.
There's no way it's going to leave, because we've got all the Yakuza games on there, and
I think two of them left, but they're back now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or they added two more, but yeah.
Persona's about to be on there. Like, Sega seems to be like hardcore supporting it, especially with their JRPG titles. So
Microsoft is hardcore paying them. That's what's happening.
Well, because the Atlas games being on anything Microsoft is a miracle.
Exactly.
Final Fantasy 16. The dev said they didn't use turn-based combat to appeal to a younger crowd. The quote I see is, I think I understand how interesting and immersive it can be. And I believe the quote is from... I forgot to put it down. Who said that? Naoki Yoshida. That's who said this. I think I understand how interesting and immersive it can be. On the other hand, for the past decade or so, I've seen quite a number of opinions saying I don't understand the attraction of selected commands in video games.
I mean,
When you put it
in all
that way,
fairness-
oh yeah, go.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, a lot of the reason for turn-based games was limitations of power back in the past. It wasn't necessary. It was a lot of the development was because, you couldn't go full action with some stuff. There would be too much happening on the screen at once. So you could create these epic battles because everybody had to wait their turn, and it just made sense coming from, and so it makes sense. It's action's fun and you can do it. You're not lacking the firepower in the console to do it anymore.
Yeah, I had never thought about if I like turn-based or not. It's just always been something that's been a part of my gaming life, so I've always been okay with it.
My tastes have changed. Like, I used to really enjoy Final Fantasy X, for instance. Like, I played the crap out of that, and then just older I got, played Kingdom Hearts, and it was like, man, I just really prefer those.
I think for me it was like the opposite. I thought turn-based games were like limiting and not as just like pure dopamine inducing. But at this point, it's just like a turn-based game that is done really well, like a lot of Final Fantasy games, adds a different layer of strategy to these games that make it a little more interesting in different ways than like a pure action game. So I can kind of see both sides, but I do like my Final Fantasy turn-based.
Yeah, that's been the interesting conversation. People are pushing back on the idea of Final Fantasy not being turn-based, and I didn't think Final Fantasy was a turn-based RPG in that sense. I thought it was just an RPG, so it just happened to be turn-based all this time. And, I haven't played a ton of Final Fantasies, but I don't know. I the one thing I've always complained about with action RPGs in this Final Fantasy 16 sense is what happens to you as you're low on health and things like that, where you have to figure out how to use your items. I just felt like all of that was less clunky in turn-based and more strategic. And I guess when it turns into something more action-oriented, that strategy isn't necessarily there as much. Like, it's like if you play Tales of Arise or any of the Tales of games, it's fun, but it is not as clean per se to do some of those micromanaging stuff that you could get away with in a turn-based game. So,
right.
I don't know. Hey, still like Tales of, though, so Final Fantasy 16 should be fine. Nintendo wants you to stop using their old Wi-Fi tech. This is actually a story, guys. People are still using the Nintendo Wi-Fi USB connector. Remember that thing you had to use to play your DS games online? If you didn't have Wi-Fi, like I didn't in college, yeah. So stop using it. Nintendo says if you continue to use these devices, there is a risk of unauthorized access from outside or infection of connected terminals with a computer virus. So, I know people need Wi-Fi, but my goodness, yeah.
There are cheaper options now.
There are. The Cowabunga collection for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is coming August 30th. I'm excited for that. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is delayed. We could see it in 2024 because it's been delayed to Ubisoft's fiscal year 2023, which includes 2024. I forget when their fiscal year ends, but it does end in 2024. So we could see it in 2024 or sometime in 2023.
I think they're an end of April to end of April.
Is it April to April?
I think it is.
Okay.
I just don't remember for sure, but I think they are.
Okay. Well, because of that, it could be we could see it in early 2024 then. But they say the delay is due to current ongoing constraints on productions across the industry.
Which I can at least share from what I've heard. The game looks beautiful, but the gameplay's rough. That's what I have heard in what I've looked around at.
I wouldn't be surprised by that from an Avatar game.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing what they come up with, because I love Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon Zero Dawn. I really feel like that could be the same kind of niche, same kind of idea, exploring this really colorful world with lots of creatures and stuff. Like, you could do something really similar.
I agree. Yeah, I haven't written it off. Could be good. Ubisoft cancels 4 games. 2 of them were unannounced. The 2 known, and all this Ubisoft news is now coming because they had their earnings call today. So this is why Ubisoft. The 2 known titles that were canceled are Ghost Recon Frontline and Splinter Cell VR. Ghost Recon Frontline was announced in October 2021. It was supposed to be a militaristic, free-to-play, 100-plus person PvP game. It was supposed to be bigger than Fortnite in terms of player count. And then Splinter Cell VR was announced during the Facebook Connect event in 2020, where they revealed the Oculus Quest 2, but that's been canceled. And then 2 other unannounced have been canceled.
I'm very sad about the Splinter Cell VR, because
I
love Splinter Cell, and I love Splinter Cell.
Do you think that would really work in VR?
I don't know, but I legitimately put money into a VR into the Quest because of Splinter Cell.
Really?
Legitimately, I put money into the Quest because they attached Splinter Cell to it. Well, technically, there's a long story of how I ended up with a free Quest 2.
To me, Splinter Cell does not translate well conceptually. I just cannot put it together in my head how I would go about making a VR Splinter Cell game when so much of it revolves around traversing and moving from shadow to shadow, and I don't get how you would do that, because it would just be, with how the state of VR now, I feel like it would just be like, click a button, you move to this spot, click a button, you move to that spot, and I don't know how they make that interesting.
You could find a way. You make it more spy oriented,
and that's where I would
I don't know what does that mean, because if you make it more spy oriented, then you're losing the spirit of Splinter Cell. It's a sneaking game, not a spying game.
We think it that way, but there are ways you could make it work.
I would love to know. I'm here.
Yeah. I don't. PlayStation's Blood and Truth and some of the things that they've done in VR with that would work really well.
For Splinter Cell?
You could make it work. I feel I'm just a hungry Splinter Cell fan who will take whatever I can
we
get.
won't. We need.
And when they cancel things, it just makes me sad.
I am a hungry Splinter Cell fan too, but I will not take anything. No.
That's where I'm at. I'm thinking, I don't want another game like Conviction or Blacklist. I don't want a VR title. I don't want Sam Fisher to show up in Rainbow Six Siege or whatever Go app there is. I want a mainline Splinter Cell title that harkens back to Chaos Theory. Well, and that's all I want.
That's the remake, at least. They are doing the remake.
We hope. So excited for that,
because there's no guarantee that they won't take a ton of notes from Blacklist and say, "Oh, people really liked Blacklist. We're gonna Blacklistify this game."
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't.
The game's too linear for it. The game's too linear for it to happen, because they're not.
Well,
they're not turning it into an open world game or anything.
Yeah, the thing about Blacklist is that it's a very linear game that likes to parade itself around as if it's not.
Yeah, but Splinter Cell itself was a very linear game.
You can't do that in the original, though.
Yeah, the original didn't even try to parade itself like it was open. It was linear.
One of the only games I've gone back and beat on hard.
Those games have, the original Splinter Cell trilogy has options in terms of what you can do and how to approach things. And Blacklist, to me, likes to pretend it has options. Even I don't think it has the level of openness even that Chaos Theory.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Get into it.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
think that Blacklist likes to say, "Oh, you get 200 points because you found this little spot that." Okay, you would have found that spot anyways if you played this game like a Splinter Cell game and literally explored every nook and cranny like you're supposed to do as Sam Fisher. Like,
Yeah.
to me, that's where my problem is with the way that they seem to envision Blacklist as being like a scavenger hunt that you got like cheered on for, in terms of instead of like Chaos Theory, where if you mastered this level, you mastered this level and it will show at the end of it.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't think
I don't know
that's
that
the
you can
direction.
make that happen though in a remake of the first one though. It just you would have to totally conceptually change that game, and I don't think they're looking to put in that kind of extra work.
Yeah, I agree with that because what Splinter Cell the original is compared to Blacklist is a very different game.
And that's
Very
the thing, even
different.
compared to Chaos Theory, like the original and Pandora Tomorrow are two games that are almost very on their own. Chaos Theory was where things kind of branched a bit more.
Yeah, but at least that
The
one still
first
kept
two,
the
yeah.
spirit. Like,
Still closer. It's
Yeah.
still closer. I'm just saying, like, the original is even further from Blacklist than even
Right.
Chaos Theory is.
yeah,
As someone who played the crap out of that game.
yeah. I feel like if they went at least as far as like Chaos Theory implemented, like the original Splinter Cell, like right now, it would be too clunky. So obviously they're gonna
Oh yeah.
update and modify and modernize things about that game in the remake,
Yeah.
so it's not as stilted and clunky. But I don't think it would go as far as Blacklist.
And that's the thing. I don't think you can get there. I think the closest you can get is Chaos Theory and modernizing it, like in terms of the way it feels and the way it goes. So
we'll see.
Just my opinion.
Yeah. Persona 5 for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 has no upgrade path. You will have to just buy it for the PlayStation 5. I guess the biggest arguments around this are the fact that so many other games, Ghost of Tsushima being one of them, there was an upgrade path for it. I think Horizon has an upgrade path for that. Yep. So
every last gen Sony first party has an upgrade path.
Yeah, and I think that's where people are missing it
for a while too.
Just say that again. Sorry, I was talking.
They had to fight them on that as well, just to get that Horizon guaranteed $10 upgrade path.
Yep.
Yeah, Sony was reluctant about doing
Horizon was the kicker actually, because that's when that's when they made that big blog post where like, hey, everything that exists cross will have an upgrade.
But it's different when it comes to third party developers and publishers.
Yeah, that's Atlas.
Yeah, they don't have to commit to that, so they did not. And I don't know the tech behind it, but I imagine because Microsoft has made this like a thing that they do, the tech is a little bit easier for them to manage versus Sony. I don't have that. Maybe it's not, and just Sony's just not doing it in that way. But yeah, maybe Atlas looked at it and was like, no, this just doesn't financially make sense for us. And Atlas gonna do business. That's what they do. Gearbox is closing its forums and moving over to Discord. The forums were shut down August 1st, but the whole thing is currently in read-only mode as of right now. Members have 30 days to save what they want to keep. Gearbox said, quote, during the past year, we noticed many of our community members prefer to engage on our other social platforms. Looking at where the conversations are taking place and feedback is expressed, we want to continue that dialogue on our social channels where much of the community is getting their information. End quote. I'm sad. I don't like holding big conversations on Discord. I miss forums. So I want forums back. I know they're not coming back.
They are a thing of the past.
They are.
Sadly.
The PHP BB and Envision Free and
man, I grew up on them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those days are done, but it's so much harder to hold conversations now. Like I don't engage with people as much, which is weird too, because Twitter is almost forum-like in some ways. But people
Reddit
like,
as well.
Reddit, yeah. So I mean, the forum concept is not entirely dead. Reddit, I mean, is the biggest example of that forum format. But yeah, I don't know. I wish there were some more traditional forums. I miss conversations in that form. I don't know if you were old enough, Noah, for that.
I was mostly like I feel like a wanderer of old ruins when I go to GameFAQs to, like look at different because I go to GameFAQs for Persona guides. Is there like some really detailed Persona guides, and they kind of read like cookbooks do on different websites where it's like I was in a very rough time in my life and Persona 4 was the only thing that kept me going, and
That is so true.
and I then took it upon myself to learn every intricate detail of this game, and here I present to you the ultimate Persona 4. And I'm like crying by the end of it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to play this game and like
Oh, that is so
on this
true.
trip with you. But yeah,
Like strategy guides, man.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, that's it for us. That is all the news. So that is this show.
It for an extra long episode 2.
That was. Yeah, we'll look into that.
I actually
later.
had enough time for X Defiant to download this throughout this whole thing. That's 50 gigs it downloaded during this podcast.
I have to cut that part because X Defiant is under NDA. So, but yeah, that was an extra long episode. So we'll look into cutting that down a little bit. But appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. Don't forget to join us on Discord and have a conversation with us. Tell us what you've been playing. Tell us what you would like us to play, what you're looking forward to that we should cover. And subscribe. You know, y'all been doing this YouTube stuff longer than I have, probably. So, subscribe, like, do all that stuff. If you dislike it, fine. It's engagement. Love us. Do what you got to do. All right. And the timestamps. Look for all that stuff as well. So, appreciate you watching. Appreciate you listening. I'm Anthony Shelton. There's David Burdette. There's no ounce of Dua. Right there. Right there.
Bye-bye.
Right here.